unacceptable and unconstitutional. And that's how the Prime Minister of Belgium described a local mayor's call to shut down the National Conservative Conference in Brussels yesterday before the country's highest court overturned his decision.
However, whilst the court's ruling will undoubtedly come as a relief for free speech advocates, a UK government spokesman described the very attempt to close down this conference, indeed the police being sent in, as we can see here, well, that was described as extremely disturbing. You can see why with that footage. Well, we can now cross to Brussels and speak with GB News reporter Charlie Peters, who is inside at the conference. Now, this all happened very, very late last night or very early this morning. Was it 2:30 a.m. that the High Court ruled in this emergency ruling?
That's right, Emily. That's when the ruling came through in the early hours. And it was at 4 a.m. this morning that we all actually got an email from the organisers here asking us to arrive at the venue as early as possible, just in case there was any attempt by the police to prevent people from entering, because that is what happened yesterday. People weren't allowed to enter this venue after a 15-minute end of the conference order was issued. And that was issued at the orders of the district mayor, Emir Keir, who said that the mere holding of this event was a threat to public safety. Well, here a day later, after winning that legal challenge against that regional mayor's order, it's been a peaceful conference. The keynote speakers that were anticipated did attend. We heard from Viktor Orban, the Prime Minister of Hungary. And right now, we're just hearing the end of a speech by the former Polish Prime Minister, Mateusz Morawiecki, who is discussing various issues in Europe. Now, many people in Britain have reacted quite strongly to the potential ban of this event yesterday, where Nigel Farage was speaking on stage when that order came through. But at the same time, there has also been significant criticism about the relative silence on the continent about that order. Why have so few world leaders stood up and opposed what organisers here said was an extreme level of censorship?
It's a really concerning example, even though it was overturned. Thank you, Charlie, for bringing us that live from the conference. Let's get the perspective now of one of the event's organisers, the Associate Professor at the University of Cambridge and Chair of the Edmund Burke Foundation, James Orr. James, thanks for joining us. This was the most extraordinary scene. We saw it live on this programme yesterday. How did you feel as not one, not two, but eventually the third venue was shut down, or attempted to be so, by a local mayor, and the police sent in?
Well, good to be with you both. Yesterday was a day of high drama, but really it's been a week of high drama. It wasn't just one local mayor. We've had 3 cancellations in 3 different municipal districts in Brussels. So 3 separate mayors, in effect, have cancelled this. But what happened with the first 2 cancellations, in effect, is that the local authorities, the mayoralty, put so much pressure on the first 2 venues that, as it were, it was the venues that got it in the neck. And we were in contractual disputes with them. We tried to seek injunctive relief for specific performance of the contract with a second venue. This was it was on Monday afternoon. So 15 hours before the beginning of the conference, I was trying to arrange things from the Eurostar on a very, very patchy mobile phone network. We sought and failed to get injunctive relief. The judge denied our request on the basis, extraordinarily, that the civic authorities had intervened and that therefore there was a credible threat in the judge's view, the judge had to accept that there was a credible threat to public safety from people with mainstream conservative views coming together, assembling peacefully, speaking peacefully, including many, many elected politicians, journalists, academics. So it was simply extraordinary. Now, the difference with this third venue is that the owners of the venue simply refused to buckle to pressure from the mayor. And that forced the mayor to issue a police order. It turns out that in Brussels, each local mayor has his own police force, as sort of almost a private militia. And so when the owners, a wonderful family, self-described free speech warriors, refused to buckle, the mayor issued an order and sent in 15 armed policemen to bring the event to an end. Now, it didn't work. Pretty tricky to get Nigel Farage off the stage. anyway, and I think the police realised the difficult situation they had on their hands. So they turned on their heels, walked out, and decided to set up a perimeter outside the front of the venue, preventing anyone from coming in and preventing any delegates who left from coming back in. And so I found myself in a rather unusual position yesterday afternoon of trying to smuggle 3 speakers, a British MP, a distinguished European aristocrat, and a Catholic cardinal in through an adjoining property in disguise. It was like something out of Mills and Boon.
Sounds like the setup of a joke, doesn't it?
What a story. I mean, James, I must ask you, you're a prominent academic, of course, and an organiser of this event. Now, not all academics felt the same way as you when this conference was to be shut down. The head of the Equality and Diversity Unit at the University of Oxford actually tweeted out these words: "I applaud the mayor and police of Brussels for their decision to close down this conference." Does that reflect a wide-held view in our institutions, in our top universities?
Well, I certainly think it reflects a pretty standard view within, as it were, the diversity industrial complex.
I think it looks like a Brussels mayor is trying to tamper with our connection here. We're going to have to see if we can re-establish that connection. But that was James Orr, chair of the Edmund Burke Foundation UK, one of the organisers of this conference. Really appreciate, James, you're joining us. Sorry that it seems that the EU gremlins have been trying to disrupt this conversation.
Well, yes, it is quite extraordinary that some academics would celebrate this Brussels mayor shutting down a conference.
Yes, and it is odd.
Of political views.
It is odd that you saw the Shadow Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, the Labour front bench laughing about all of this yesterday. And actually it took none other than Owen Jones on Twitter today, the left-wing polemicist, to say that actually, no, shutting down your political opponents with the use of police forces is not a good thing to do.
Well, yes, it only requires a little bit of foresight or historical knowledge to realise that it could happen to you. Yes. It could happen to your gathering, it could happen to your conference, it could happen to your institution, whatever it is. This isn't just a right-wing issue, is it?
No, as Owen Jones said, if you support the right of the state to shut down your opponents, you legitimise the state wanting to shut you down too.